My name is Erica Mitchell, and this is the case study for EDL 854, Business Finance. Section 1 states the facts of the case, and it revolves around Briardale Elementary School and the principal, myself, Carl Santos. The school serves as a community meeting center where lots of different events are held. There are 600 students that are in the school, kindergarten through 5th grade. It's a successful school district with a lot of teachers who have been in the district for a long time, high teacher morale, and successful athletics. The curriculum is focused on basic skill instruction, and there are different assignments or different foundations assigned to each school within the district that will dictate how the curriculum funding is raised and distributed. The Briardale Elementary Foundation is the group of people who collaborate to raise the funds for the curriculum programs, and is led by a parent representative, and currently it's Mr. Bailey, and the president. He is the president, and he leads the fundraiser. He collaborates with the curriculum committee. He is also the first year on this committee. He's motivated by some personal competition with another president of a foundation of a school within the district that goes back to some college competition that he had. And he came up with the idea of a raffle ticket fundraiser with a cash prize to raise funds for Briardale Elementary curriculum. So the fundraiser was supposed to be one of the most supposedly successful fundraisers that the school has ever seen. Tickets were sold, and it gave the ticket buyers opportunity to win a cash prize. Mr. Bailey brought it to the foundation, and the foundation approved it, and then the community gathered at Briardale Elementary for the fundraiser. And while the fundraiser was happening, the local sheriff came and took Mr. Bailey away to the police station before any of the tickets were drawn for the prize winner, and that there he was charged with a misdemeanor. We're not sure what the charges exactly were, but we can presume that it has something to do with the fundraiser and the cash prize raffle and the laws that regulate those raffles. The legal and ethical issues that we face within this case is that Mr. Bailey broke a law. He got arrested and got charged with a misdemeanor, so he clearly was not following legalities as the president of the Briardale Elementary Foundation. He also did not do his research to make sure that he was abiding by those laws. A lot of states have a cash for raffle law, and I'm assuming, although it wasn't stated, I'm assuming that is probably something that had to do with him being arrested. Now Mr. Bailey has a criminal record. The school, which had a great reputation beforehand, now has a tarnished image because of a very public embarrassment of an arrest of the the foundation president. Another ethical issue faced was that Mr. Bailey was fueled by some personal competition, and that could have clouded his judgment and prevented him from being careful and looking at all of the ins and outs before having a fundraiser. So what exactly happened in the fundraiser, in the case, is basically Mr. Bailey was attempting to raise funds for Briardale Elementary School and the curriculum, and he broke a law involving the fundraiser and the raffles, which involved cash prizes. So here's what we know about the people involved in the case. Myself, Mr. Santos, I'm the principal of Briardale Elementary. I oversee a lot of the foundation, the Briardale Elementary Foundation, but I don't make any of the decisions. Mr. Bailey, who is a parent, he's a new parent to the district, but he's in charge of the foundation. He oversees the fundraising. Mr. Morley is a rival of Mr. Bailey, and he's in charge of the curriculum foundation at another school and raising funds. In that often fuels some competition as well to how to raise the money, how to raise more money, and who can raise the most money. Briardale Elementary Foundation, it includes the people all on that committee, and that they approved the idea of this raffle fundraiser. And obviously the people on that committee were not made aware of the legalities or the laws that were being broken. The people also involved include the teaching staff, because that's an important factor, the students and the parents, as well as all of the people attending the fundraiser and those who purchased tickets to partake in the raffle and have that chance to win a cash prize. Some unknown facts about people in this case. Again, the people that are sitting on the committee on the foundation, did they research the laws and legalities before approving the fundraiser? It's also in question who tipped off the sheriff. Not that that matters, because one way or the other a law was being broken, but it just adds an interesting factor to the reasoning behind that, why that person would tip off the sheriff rather than addressing Mr. Bailey himself and saying, taking preventative measures. The attendees of the fundraiser, their money from the tickets, it's in question what's happening with that money, what's happening with the prize, the cash prize, and will they be refunded or not. What we know about the place is that Briardale schools are very successful schools. They have high teacher morale. Teachers that work there for long periods of time. They're also successful in athletics. The Briardale School serves as a community meeting center and holds a lot of the community events. It also holds, the student population is around 600. Each school site within the district has a different foundation that will raise money for their curriculum. However, Briardale Elementary serves as that main community meeting center. What we don't know is the state that Briardale is in, and it makes me wonder, because Mr. Bailey attended Harvard University as well as Mr. Morley, I wonder if the state is Massachusetts, which has different specific laws regarding raffle fundraisers and cash prizes. So I think that's an important factor that needs to be addressed, where the state is and what those laws are regarding cash prize raffles. I also wonder just how many people were in attendance of the event, how many tickets were sold, how many people were there. I think that would play a role in the outcome of the arrest and the prize money and things like that. The program, the facts about the program is that the Briardale School Foundation focuses on supplementary curriculum. The president is a parent of a student at Briardale Elementary. The school district curriculum is all performance-based by the students, and each site or each school within that school district has their own curriculum committee as well as a foundation. A lot of the decisions for the supplementary curriculum is decided on by the teachers and the curriculum committee. What we don't know is how will the fundraiser and the arrest affect funding for these, for the curriculum and for these different supplementary programs. The formula for the funding is confusing within the district. They stated that, the case stated that the funds, it was confusing on how funds are allocated and distributed. I wonder who's getting what, and if each school is getting equal amounts. If it's performance-based, is one school getting more based on higher performance than others, and if that has a factor into the situation. And is the budget the same within all the schools? So some very important stakeholders are how will what happened at the fundraiser affect the funding for the programs? Will it affect enrollment and employment? Will parents pull their students? Will teachers resign because of lack of support or just a poor image of a school in general? How can we prevent this from happening by better educating the foundations and getting them on board with all the laws and legalities that they need to be aware of? What charges are made against Mr. Bailey? Is there a way to, take back the charges if something were to happen, if he were to refund the money? Could he then clear his record, that type of thing? I think that it's an important stakeholder that we research and comply with all the laws. I also think about who's at fault, who should take the responsibility for this. Should myself, the principal, take this responsibility? Should Mr. Bailey and the foundation take responsibility for not being aware of the legalities? The superintendent? I think that's an important thing to address. Who would an apology be issued toward? By whom and to whom? And how will we address this to the community and to parents? And how can we make it right with those who bought tickets for the raffle and did not end up getting a chance to have the cash prize? So here are my options. I could take no action. I could do nothing, but that would damage the reputation of the foundation. It would damage our relationship with Mr. Bailey if he's sitting there facing all these charges and such on his own with no support. And it would make it possible for a situation to occur again that is similar if we don't educate and prevent. If I were to take liberal action, which would be like issuing an apology, I could issue an apology to the attendees, the parents, the students, and the community. I could then educate the foundation members on the laws that we need to be aware of. And I could take responsibility for the mistake. An intermediate strategy that I could take is I could assign a new president of the foundation. I could pull Mr. Bailey in general, take his leadership role and give it to somebody else. I could talk with law officials and our district lawyer on how we could settle this case, and how I also think it could be a good opportunity to reevaluate the foundation and our goals and visions and our purpose. So the pros of the options of like how I could solve this problem, it would salvage relationships if I were to show support for Mr. Bailey and be an advocate for him, since he is the head of the foundation and part of our school. That would salvage our relationship with him and possibly with other parents, because mistakes happen. I could encourage community support and understanding with an apology and addressing that it was a mistake made. It was just overlooked. We are doing what we can to make it right. This would promote collaborative effort amongst key stakeholders as well. Is there a possibility to save some of the funding and the money that was raised? This could provide redirection for the foundation, and that would inspire creative pursuit of new approaches and promote student learning and school improvement. This could prevent a mistake like this from happening, and this could also prepare the foundation prepare others for legal matters regarding fundraising, and that would support every student and adult's learning and development. Some of the cons would be it's embarrassing for the district and for myself that we overlooked such a large mistake. I could lose student enrollment and parent support if I were to pull Mr. Bailey and not place blame on him. This could also cost the district a lot financially to support Mr. Bailey in his legal battle if we were to financially support him as well. So when I make a decision on what action to take, I think that it's important that I take responsibility for the mistake and support Mr. Bayerly. I would take responsibility by addressing the legal issues that were overlooked and take the responsibility for lack of educating the foundation and overseeing the legalities that were overlooked before the fundraiser. I think that I should issue an apology to the community, to Mr. Bayerly, to the attendees of the event, and to all students and staff. It's an embarrassing matter, but I think that it's important that I address it face to face and come out and say, hey, a mistake was made. I apologize. We're doing what we can to support staff and students and refund the money that the attendees paid for tickets. And then we're doing what we can to fix the mistake. I think that I should also discuss budget shifts for the year to make up the funding that's going to be lost from the fundraiser. I also think that it's important that at this time we collaborate with other foundations within the district. We all have a common goal, regardless of the separate schools. We're all one district with a common goal of student success. And I think it's important that we collaborate with one another to find successful ways to fundraise. I think it's also important that we educate the foundation members so that they are more aware of what they need to be looking for before approving different fundraising ideas. So my first step would be I would contact my superintendent. I would get him on board with everything that I am doing. I would also contact the district lawyer and law enforcement, talking about what kind of actions we could take to help Mr. Bayerly in his legal battle that he's going to now face. What kind of liabilities does the district face? Is there a way to address and drop the charges if we correct the mistakes and refund people their monies? The next step would be I would set up a meeting with Mr. Bayerly. I would offer my complete full support as well as an apology. I would offer financial support as well through the district and discuss his union with his union reps what we can do to help him in that situation and support him and his family. I would contact the Briardale Elementary Foundation next and immediately begin refunding those people who purchased tickets. I would refund them their money so that the money is not just sitting out there waiting to see what was done. Again, that would be after contacting the district lawyer and law enforcement and making sure that that money is not part of the investigation or an open investigation, and we could refund those who purchased the tickets. I would then contact the parents and the attendees, and then even like a local newspaper or press to issue an apology so that no one thinks that the matter is just being swept under the rug. I would also then suggest that the superintendent or other principals within the district set up a meeting with the foundation presidents. And I think it's important that we regroup. We see this as a learning experience. We could collaborate with one another and create a new vision for the purpose of the foundations. And if there's a way to help one another be successful rather than compete with one another. I would also meet with our district financial advisor and look at our funding and accounts and see what we could do to make up the funding that's going to be lost through the fundraiser. The possible outcomes would be getting community support. I think that people would see me addressing and apologizing as me advocating for parents, students, and members of our school district. Hopefully they would be understanding of the mistake, and with refunding that money, nobody is out their funds. We simply refund them and do our best to make it right. The Briardale Foundation or Briardale Elementary loses their funding from the event, which is another outcome, which is a bummer because we're losing a lot of financial support for those curricular programs. Another outcome could be that the charges are dropped against Mr. Bayerly if we refund the money. And again, it just serves as another learning curve from this entire situation. If my action does not offer positive outcomes, then my plan B would be suggesting a district-wide foundation rather than school by school. Again, we need to collaborate. We need to work together. I wonder about a principal or an employee of the district assuming the role of president of the foundation, because we are often more well versed in the legalities in those matters. So it would not, a lot of those things might not be overlooked as they are now with parents serving on the board. I would always offer financial and emotional support from Mr. Barely in any situation, and I would begin brainstorming new fundraising ideas and on how to make up that funding that is lost from this event. So, within or discussing the standards components, the candidates complete building level education leadership preparation program by displaying understanding and demonstrating the capacity to promote current and future success of each student and adult. I think that I address this in handling the situation by advocating for the adults in the situation, as well as the students, knowing that I'm offering my full support. I'm not placing blame for mistakes on anybody. It was just a lack of information, a lack of education, and it serves as a learning a learning opportunity for everybody. I think that by taking the action that I do, it gives me an attempt to salvage the funding as well as the relationships within this situation. Hopefully, it would support encourage the community to continue to be supportive of Briardale Elementary and the foundation. It would also give everybody a chance to step back and educate themselves, as well as I could educate others on the current laws and be more aware of the fundraising ideas in the laws, that making sure they comply with those laws. It would also give us an opportunity for a school improvement plan and giving us some framework for, hey, how can we take this situation and use it to make our school better and support student learning and not see it as a fallback. The second standard component is understanding and demonstrating the capacity to evaluate, develop, and advocate for a data-informed and equitable resourcing plan that supports school improvement and student development. I think that my decision and my actions definitely educate everyone on the current laws, as well as that improvement plan framework, as mentioned before. It would also give us a chance to rethink our funding plan and budgets within the schools. Thanks for watching.